When I was younger, I was in love with the show The Flash. The story of how he got his powers, how he used them, it was just so amazing to me. And I binge watched the first season, and the second season, and the third season. But after the third season and the fourth season, it got really boring. Like, I just could not watch anymore, and I essentially stopped watching, right? And years later, after The Flash came out with more seasons, I came across a video that said, this is why The Flash stopped being good after the third season, right? And essentially what he said in the video was that the reason why The Flash became so annoying to watch was because the main character, Barry Allen, kept relearning the same lessons over and over again. The lesson being something along the lines of, you gotta use your powers responsibly, right? Something along the lines of that. And the reason why I'm bringing that up right now is because I realized that over the past 100 days of making a video, right? This is day 98 of making a video every single day. I realized that I kind of covered the same topics over and over and over again. Topics about burnout, topics about, the reason about like commitment and habits and productivity. But it's almost like the same lessons over and over and over again. And a lot of friends have told me this, and I've realized this too, something I've realized right now and recently, something that I think is really important to say is that we as humans relearn lessons all the time. But in movies and TV shows and stories, the way that these lessons are presented to us, it's like these characters learn the lessons and have them for permanence, right? Like they have for the rest of their lives, right? In TV shows, it becomes so annoying to watch the main character relearn the same lessons over and over again. Because in our mind, he's learned it and he's done, like he has it down. But real life doesn't work like that. And I think because there's so many stories around us, it becomes hard for us to accept the fact that whenever we learn a lesson, that lesson is always going to fade, right? The lesson of commitment is so important to me that I'm making this 100-day video series where I'm posting a video every single day for 100 days. And the reason why I'm doing that is because there's so many times where I learned the lesson of commitment. And I realized that I need to do something big to learn it for a long time before I unlearn it again, right? And you need to practice these lessons over and over again so you don't unlearn them. And that's how real life works, right? The problem comes when we assume that it has to be like movies and like TV shows where we have that lesson for permanence. Today I was struggling with something that I was struggling with 4 years ago. And I'm still struggling with it. And I learned the lesson 4 years ago, but I'm like relearning it today, around fear of like perfectionism. But that's how life works, right? Humans are not perfect. Humans are flawed. And there's a beauty in that. There's a beauty in relearning the same lessons over and over again, right? Because quite honestly, all the advice in the world, you honestly know that. And you even watching this video, you're not learning any new advice, just a new perspective on the advice that you've already learned, right? But the reason why this is important to hear and the reason why this is important to kind of think about is because we are humans. And if we didn't relearn lessons, then we'd all just be perfect in like 2 years, right? All you need to read is one book and we'd be perfect. But that's not how it works. And the more you relearn lessons, the more they become a part of your identity. The more they become part of who you are as a person, right? I'm a very strong person on not lying. And that's because for a long time I lied to a lot of people. And that hurt a lot of people, and it hurt me too, it hurt them. And that became such a core principle because of the pain that I received with it, and because of the amount of time that I had to learn that lesson. So, I'm not saying that it's all bad to have to relearn lessons. And I know that it's hard to watch movies and TV shows and want to live in this world, this fantasy world where lessons are learned once and kept forever. But we don't. And there's a beauty in that, but also at the same time, like, we just have to push through it and make it happen, right? Let's make it happen. I hope you gained some value from this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.